All right, I want to talk about group consensus, specifically about a dynamic that happens in discussions. You will see certain unpopular opinions, specifically on forums and stuff, where people discuss. If somebody says something that is against the group consensus, no matter how many stats or how many good arguments they actually bring to the table, the vast majority of comments and responses will be fighting that premise with their own premise of, but it's not group consensus. It's a very uneven discussion because the first part tries to make a new argument, tries to expand the perspective of people. And the rest of the people, usually 95% of the commenters will fight that premise with really, really weak arguments, arguments that are not really any arguments, that just basically say, you're an idiot because it's clear that you're an idiot. It's kind of like a non-argument, but they just get to slandering, or they get to attacking his person, they get to attack a word that he used or something like that. They will not have any real arguments, but they're the most convinced that they're right. All because all their identity is connected to the group consensus in that case. And I talked about groupthink before a lot, and about your ego being connected to goodness and being identified with being good. But in these situations, you see it basically the best, where there will not be a single rational argument against the premise. There will not be a single argument made against the premise at hand, but regardless, the top voted answers will be just slandering, or some version of character assassination, or some version of you're stupid because you're wrong, non-arguments that are just going in circles. And the crazy part here to me is, first of all, it exists. And then second of all, the masses, the vast majority of users will upvote these slander arguments to the top, versus in the very bottom, there will be a downvoted point where they actually agree, or they actually have a sounding argument. But these are not even in the list, because in group consciousness, in group consensus, we basically leave our critical mind at the door. And because we feel validated by the group and by the idea of being good, we won't be able to actually have a sound, reasonable discussion with anybody, because we're not even reasonable to begin with. But the crazy thing is, everybody, including me, that is in groupthink, in the group consensus, won't be able to even see that they have no real argument. And they will be the most convinced that they're right and that they have the argument. It is honestly mind-boggling. Another part of the answers is also, people will respond with derailing. So there will be an argument, and then they just derail the argument to somewhere completely different. Or people try to make a very good analogy if the roles were reversed, for example. But then they're like, yeah, but that's not what we're discussing. So they won't be able to have the capacity for thought experiments. They won't have the capacity to stay on topic. And they won't have the capacity to actually stay civil, because their identity is attacked, their worldview is attacked, and you see this in any field you can possibly imagine. The level of attempted mental gymnastic and outright attacks versus certain opinions, and the level of mean tactics to silence them, to find every little opening to attack them, whether that's a single word or whether that's a single, I don't know, it could be anything. It could be the smallest little things. They grasp these opportunities to find every little detail that it's not perfectly aligned to the group consensus, to slander, attack, and demonize opinions that deviate from their own. And it is actually frightening how little cognitive connection people have. It's frightening how much cognitive dissonance happens with people that identify with the group consensus and that take all their opinions from the group consensus. That's honestly one of the most dangerous ways to live, and also one of the most unconscious ways to exist, being in group consensus. Peace.